Hey there, everyone. Hope you are doing great today. My name is Kyle Kurzhal. I like to describe myself as your go-to guy for AI and automations to get back your time, grow your business, grow your investing, or grow personally, whatever it is that you're trying to do. I am here on this beautiful Tuesday evening. Looking forward to getting into this most recent AI news with you guys. It's been about 2 weeks, I think, since I was able to last do a live stream. So we've got a lot of AI news to jump into today. I think I also want to follow up on something that I've been kind of looking at a little bit in my spare time. Maybe we'll even connect it to some local models. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, it's great to be back here with you. If this is your first time here with us this evening, let me give you a quick rundown of what we do here during this live stream. So my background is in software engineering. I've been in the software engineering space for over 11 years now, currently serving as a CTO at a startup serving nursing home residents. So we're doing some exciting stuff in that space. The stuff that's going on in AI is just increasing in speed, in terms of capability. And there's just no way that even me, even with me being in tech, I can keep up with all these different things all the time while juggling the responsibilities that I already have. So what I try to do is I try to set aside a little time every week to just really focus in on some of the news, and then also go play with some tools so that way I can keep my own skills and knowledge up to date. But I figured, you know what? It would be great if I could open this up to other people who also want to learn along with me. So if you're one of those people, if you're somebody who wants to learn along with somebody who's already technical, if you want to be able to jump in and ask somebody who is technical questions that pertain to you personally, or maybe to your business or your investing, that's what this time is for. It's for you and I to both grow. It's for you to be able to ask questions of somebody who has a lot more experience in the technical space, and just play a little bit, I guess. So that's what we're here. That's what we're here for. That's what this is about. Before we get into today's news, let me give you a little foreshadowing of a couple of things, and then give you one last little thing about how you can ask questions. So today we're going to take a look at, obviously, these news articles, but specifically, I want to take a look afterwards at a new format that Google has proposed called the open knowledge format. And if you are somebody who has to do organization of information, I think this is going to be really key for you. And I think, honestly, unless you're maybe a blue collar worker, only ever working on an assembly line or working out in the field or something like that, you never have to organize information or go look something up, then this probably pertains to you. The format that they suggest is a way for information to be organized and managed by AI agents, or if you prefer to use the term AI employees. That's kind of the gist of what this is for. I want to see what this would actually look like in terms of implementation, especially if we use something like a markdown editor like Obsidian for doing our knowledge management. In theory, I imagine you could probably also use this in like a Google Docs system, or you could use it in like a Microsoft SharePoint system or anything like that, really, as long as you can hook up your AI agent to it and you can give it the instructions. Probably would work both ways. So we're going to look a little bit at that today. I want to kind of understand the format a little bit. I want to play with it, see how it does. And I don't know, maybe we'll hook it up to a local model. Maybe I'll just use Claude to start. We'll see. But that's what you guys have to look forward to tonight. That's what I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be especially important as we go forward. You want these agents to have context and knowledge of how to do certain things, especially if you've got like playbooks or run books or something like that for you're in the service industry, or you maybe have SOPs or anything like that, for your business. So one last thing I want to mention, if you do have questions for me as we're going through these articles, as we're going through the tools, then please either drop those in the chat. I look at the chats on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. That's where we're running this live stream. But if your question is like really long and it doesn't quite fit in the chat, you could always do multiple messages, I guess. But if you don't want to do that and you don't want it to get broken up or anything like that, then I have a form linked there in the chat. You can see it on YouTube, Facebook, and on Rumble. Click that, go submit your question, and that question will come in live on my side in a spreadsheet, so I'll be able to read it all in one go. So that's also an option for you if you want to submit that. Otherwise, I think that really is everything that we need to be able to cover to start tonight. I want to make sure we have plenty of time because I try to end around 7 to 7:30 roughly. I usually go over a little bit, but let me see, anything else? Do we have anybody in the chat with us who's got questions before we start? Let me check. Okay. All right, then. I don't see anything. So let's get into it. Let's get into our first news article today. Really, we're going to start with the release note from Anthropic. They announced on July 24th, so a couple days back, the Claude Opus 5 launch. So they have launched Claude Opus 5, a thoughtful and proactive model that comes close to the frontier intelligence of Claude Fable 5 at half the price. So this is a big deal. Let's look at the news article here. I went a little, there we go. So here's our news article about Claude Opus 5. If you've been paying attention to the Anthropic ecosystem, they had Fable 5 come out, and it was a big model, and people were freaking out about how good it was, and also how many tokens it would eat up, and so on and so forth. They extended the usage of Fable 5 like a week or two or something like that. I think it's still up, and that was probably in response to OpenAI's announcement about their 5.6 models. So right on the heels of that, we have this announcement about Opus 5. So let's see what they have to say. We're going to kind of glance through this. If you want to go into lots of nitty gritty details, that's okay for you. I really want to keep this relevant for folks who are maybe more business savvy or maybe who are focused more on investing and not get too nerdy. It's okay to get a little nerdy, but we don't want to get too nerdy. So Claude Opus 5 is available today. Thoughtful, proactive model on coding and knowledge work evaluations. It is a new state of the art. It remains behind Mythos 5 on cybersecurity tasks, designed to be for everyday use. Works more efficiently than other models. New default model for Claude Max and the strongest model on Claude Pro. So when we compare these, we've got Fable 5 here, Opus 4.8, the previous one, and then GPT 5.6. It looks like, at least according to these benchmarks, it's practically beating out everything, including Fable 5, except on this no tools for multidisciplinary reasoning, but it's like 0.2%, so very close. Agentic coding, it's just 0.1% difference here. On legal tasks, it's about 1.5 roughly percent difference lower than Fable 5, and then compared to Mythos for health related things, it's about it looks about a little over 6% difference. But I mean, it's beaten out Fable 5 and even Mythos 5, even on down here on biology and on these hard and human solved tasks. So very, very interesting. The only thing I think it didn't, other than that, it looks like GPT 5.6 Soul from OpenAI is winning out on agentic coding here for this particular benchmark at 72.7%, and they are at 68.8%. But I mean, still, this is pretty impressive. So they say that it has a greatly improved performance for the same cost as its predecessor. So same cost, which means it is going to be cheaper than Fable 5, even though it's got basically the same or better performance in some cases. It excels at valuable software engineering tasks. So very good at software engineering. Let's see here. All right. So we kind of see here some of the diagrams. So for this Frontier bench, you can see this kind of gray one is the GPT Soul. You can kind of see it's spread out. It is cheaper generally, and especially when we consider, for most people who are using subscriptions, you're not going to notice this, but that's because it's subsidized. For anybody who's using like API requests, maybe they're running their own custom agents on their own infrastructure, that kind of stuff. This kind of stuff matters. GPT Soul is 5.6 Soul is cheaper on the lower end, obviously, but the score is way down. So the last two items here is kind of where it's a bit above the lowest tier in terms of score from Opus 5, but just a little more expensive. And then the next bump up is going to be a little less accurate and just a tiny bit more expensive, less expensive than Opus 5. But you have these increments here, and then Opus 5 just shoots up. Obviously, it's more expensive, but totally worth it. Score, you can see here, relative to Fable 5, though, it's a lot cheaper, generally comparing the low to high, highest thinking, and generally at a much higher percentage rate on that one. Kind of similar here for this cursor bench. Although for this AA coding agent, it's tracking with Soul and definitely a bit better than Fable there too. So very, very cool. We see similar results on knowledge work and problem solving tasks. Let's see what else. So novel problem solving by cost. So the score is much higher. Look at this for Opus 5 on high compared to Soul. When they do these examples of problem solving, the cost is, it's high, but man, I wish we could see the other effort levels. Yeah. So if we glance through all these, we're going to see similar. We're generally at or above 5.6 Soul for roughly the same price or less. But especially compared to Fable 5, you can see like they're much cheap. It's still much cheaper than Fable 5. So this is really, really great. This gives Anthropic a huge leg up. So it's a meaningful improvement for scientific research. That's pretty cool. So it shows better performance than Opus 4.8 on every one of our life science evaluations. Improvements most notable on organic chemistry tasks. Very cool. Opus 5 is capable of producing much stronger visual outputs. This is very nice. So let's see about this. One second, guys. Let me make sure my sound is not going to blow you guys up over here. Sometimes I forget to... Okay, good. I'm set up. I just wanted to make sure I'm not going to explode you guys' ears here. So this is the example here of this wind tunnel. Very cool. Nice simulation. So that looks really great. Okay, let's look at a cell artifact. Wow. Oh, that's cool. It's animated and everything. Wow. That is pretty darn cool. I wish I had had that during my time in school. Man. So they say working with Opus 5 it's stronger at verifying its work, iterating carefully until it succeeds. So that's great. It means you can give it hard things, multi-step tasks, and it is going to complete them more successfully. You kind of just let it run. Let's see what else. So on alignment and safety, it's their most aligned model to date. It adheres to their Claude's constitution better than 4.8, Sonnet 5, or Fable 5. Exhibits the lowest rate of deceptive behavior and is least susceptible to being tricked into misuse. Very nice. It avoids reckless actions that could have hard to reverse side effects. Very nice. And so you can see you want a lower score on this. So it is definitely lower than all of these. So let's see here. Finding vulnerabilities and exploits in open source code. So let's see. Okay. Let's see here. They've intentionally avoided training it on cyber tasks. The model has nevertheless improved substantially on these tasks as a result of becoming more generally capable. Comes close to Mythos 5 at finding cybersecurity vulnerabilities. However, it remains substantially behind on the exploitation of those vulnerabilities. So very, very interesting there. So neat that it can find them, but it doesn't actually exploit them. So we can kind of see that here. That's cool. So they've got safeguards in place for these things. Getting started. It's available today on all platforms. $5 per million input, $25 per million output. Okay, very cool. So very nice from Anthropic. Love that they released Opus 5. That's going to be a huge benefit to a lot of people. All right, let me see if we've got any comments, questions from anybody in the chat. All right, none there. Let's make sure. Let's see if we've got. 1 second, guys. Let's see if we've got any questions here in our spreadsheet. Nope. Okay, we didn't have any form submissions. So let's look. Let's go ahead and look at our next article here from Anthropic. They say, ask Claude about the Anthropic Economic Index. So people have hard questions about AI and work, which jobs will change, which tasks are being automated, and what it means for their own field. The Anthropic Economic Index exists to help answer them with real data. Today, they are launching the Anthropic Economic Index connector for Claude, which lets anyone explore data directly. That is sweet. So basically, you're going to be able to come in, and if you've got questions about AI related to your industry, you don't just have to read a report anymore. You can actually ask questions through this connector. So you can hit the little plus, turn on the little indicator there, see what people are using Claude for. Wow. And then you get the artifacts that get generated. Wow, that's nice. Okay, so it measures how AI is actually used in the economy, has been useful for researchers, journalists, policymakers. Let's see here. You can ask questions like which occupations use AI the most, what most common ways people in Colorado use Claude, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, this is great, especially if you're like a business user or an investor. I said a business user. If you're doing business, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're just working in a business, doing planning, things like that. Or you're an investor, this could be very, very useful for you. So I would definitely go check this out. If you've got a Claude subscription, go flip on that connector and see how well it works for you. That would be really, really cool to know, especially if you're doing something related to AI development or AI features or something like that. It would give you a good sense of potential penetration. Okay. Let's look at this next article from Anthropic. Cognizant and Anthropic expand their partnership to bring Claude to enterprise clients. So if you're like me, you're in an enterprise environment, this kind of stuff is going to be very pertinent to you. So they are expanding their partnership with Cognizant, the world's largest technology service companies. It uses Claude in systems it builds to run for clients across manufacturing, life sciences, insurance, and other industries. Okay. They're embedding Claude across its own business, engineering platform, scaling Claude certified workforce as part of a new frontier certified workforce model. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so Cognizant is putting this stuff to work for their clients. So if you're somehow related to Cognizant, you've got them as a vendor, this might be very exciting for you. So need to see that these partnerships are being announced, though, because you can see how things are progressing across the economy. All right, let's take a look at this next article from Anthropic, and this will be the last one for today. So they announced their position on open weights models. So they say over the last few days, there's been a lot of discussion about open weights, especially those from China. Now, if you guys are, curious, like there's a lot of, there's this concept called open weight models. And basically these are just models where the weights have been shared shared publicly for people to be able to use. So these are pre-trained models. They share the weights from those pre-trained models. You can download them and then you can spin them up and run them. It's very kind of similar to open source software where, somebody creates a piece of software, they write the code, they bundle it, they throw it out there, and then you can download it and you can use it. So there's, concerns from like the US government that maybe China is releasing these things and it could be potential security risk for us, or maybe they could outpace us and we don't. There's all sorts of concerns that have been raised around this. They say that reports suggest that some U.S. officials are considering banning the use of Chinese open weight models by U.S. companies. Some of the big models, for example, are DeepSeek, and I'm not necessarily a big fan of China, and particularly it's because of because of their communistic policies. They're government-controlled companies. Like if you've got a large company, it's going to be controlled by the Chinese Communist Party in some way. There's some connection there. You're not going to be able to get out of it if you're running a business in China. And they're going to have their say in some of the data that these models are trained on, and potentially be able to influence how these models might behave to some degree. So there is a security risk, I would say, from that perspective. However, at the same time, they are pushing with these open weight models a lot of research, which is also very beneficial in that it helps propel ideas forward, and people can implement those ideas and train their own models based on those ideas, improve models. So there, you get a bit of both, right? You get a mix of both. There's some security concerns obviously there, but then also there's been, I think, some good stuff that's come out of the work that they've done. So, it's a bit of a gray area to some degree here. So they say, in response, many tech companies have signed a letter supporting open weights models, and some people have accused Anthropic of wanting to ban these models to protect their business, which makes sense. These large companies don't want the competition necessarily, especially if these Chinese companies are doing the training for, a very low cost relative to what our U.S. companies are spending. But, there's also some concerns that they are siphoning off some of these other bigger models that are trained in the U.S. and that they're using them essentially to determine whether or not the responses of their own models are good and to train their own models. So you're kind of like distilling down the big models into something that's cheaper ultimately. So let's see what else they have to say. So some people have accused Anthropic of wanting to ban them. Anyone who's read my past should know I don't regard such bans as a useful measure. Let me state it clearly. Anthropic has never advocated for a ban on open weight models. Open weight models that don't have dangerous capabilities are a public good. They don't cost anything besides the compute needed to run them, and they provide value to businesses, developers, and researchers. So he says, my primary, let's see here. I laid these out in my essay 6 months ago, have held these positions consistently for many years. The primary concern is the risk that authoritarian governments, not solely the Chinese Communist Party, although the CCP is clearly the most capable threat, build AI models that are more powerful than those built by the US, and use them to achieve permanent military superiority or perpetuate incredibly deep repression of their own people. This concern is widely shared in the U.S. government. Let's see here. It is relevant whether these models are released with open weights, and certainly irrelevant whether they are used by the U.S. businesses. I don't know if I fully agree with that personally. They say the most dangerous model may be one that's trained in secret, handed only over to the People's Liberation Army for use in drones. I don't know. So, number 2, my secondary concern is the risk that powerful AI models may be misused to carry out cyber attacks or biological attacks, and may have serious alignment problems. Open weight models, it does not matter whether they come from China or anywhere else, do potentially present a higher risk than closed models because it is difficult to apply guardrails to them or monitor their usage. Once open weights are released, they cannot be withdrawn, but banning the use of these models by U.S. businesses has nothing to address this risk because bad actors are unlikely to be legitimate U.S. businesses. It would protect U.S. AI companies from competition, but that's never been his goal. So he would say that we should not sell powerful chips or chip-making equipment to China. We should crack down on industrial-scale distillation operations. So basically, them trying to train their models off of the responses our models give them. All sufficiently capable models, open and closed, should go through mandatory safety testing. Yeah, I mean, there is a concern there that they could be misaligned. They could be trained to do some kind of sinister things under the hood. At the same time, we do need open models. I do think we do need open models that are sufficiently tested because there are many companies, especially in enterprise and regulated environments like the one I'm working in, where we don't want data going off our servers onto somebody else's third-party server, just to be able to run AI tasks. We might need to run our own stuff internally so that way private data doesn't escape our ecosystem. So, those are definitely some concerns. I share some of these concerns. I think these are reasonable standpoints here. And I appreciate that we're not just saying, let's ban all open weight models. But, you should definitely take these into consideration. You need to be careful when you consider the source that these models are coming from. So, weigh these things out, take your own risks appropriately. Okay, let's see if we've got any questions, not articles, from anyone here in the chat. Let's see. I've got no questions from you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. Let's move on to our next article. We're going to be talking about some stuff from OpenAI next. They announced they are launching health in ChatGPT. So a couple months ago, I looked at this. I knew that they were going to be making some improvements in terms of how ChatGPT is integrated with your health data and allow you to be able to ask questions and get answers based on your health data. And it's been incredibly helpful for some people who've been in kind of a beta on this. So they're rolling it out to US users, and you can securely connect your health information to help you better understand and navigate your health. Let's see, they got this little video here. You can better understand and navigate your health. Sync to all these different service providers. Bring all your health information together. See your records. Get personalized guidance. Okay. Very nice. So this is cool. very cool that you can ask these questions of your data. I'm a bit more conscious now of how, data is being stored and shared. So I'd want to know a bit more about how this is done, but I'm sure I would hope that they're taking these things into account when, they are syncing these things. So let's see what else they have to say about this. You can choose to securely connect Apple Health and supported medical records, so ChatGPT can help you understand your information and contacts, keep track of what's changed, have more information, personalized conversations. Builds on feedback from early testers, gives you control over what to connect. Okay, let's see here. More than 300 million people turn to ChatGPT with health-related questions. With your permission, it can draw on relevant information that you connected in health to help compare new result with prior tests, summarize changes since your last appointment, explore how sleep, activity, and workouts relate to your routine, etc., etc. Let's see here. They've got feedback from people who have done early testing. Health conversations are grounded in your information. Take action today. Meal planning. Health summary. Finding patterns. Appointment prep. Exercise planning. Very cool. All based on real data that you're collecting. Now this is actually really that's pretty cool. Like, I will just say, being able to do like meal planning based on your your readings, that's pretty cool. Like, imagine if you had something that was able to accurately measure your blood, like on some regular interval, and then you could feed that in, and based on that you could ask this to help you understand and adjust your exercise, your meal planning, things like that. That would be really cool. So improving your health intelligence with physicians. So let's see here. What does it have to say? Thinking models of time evaluation. To measure progress, we work with hundreds of physicians around the world. Okay. Built with privacy, security, and control. This is what I'd be concerned about. It's built with layered privacy security safeguards. All conversations are encrypted at rest and in transit. Okay, good. Information connected to health receives additional encryption protections. Information connected is not used to train their foundation models or target ads. That's good. You decide when ChatGPT can use the information connected in health. So you have to explicitly say, okay, I want to share this now. You can disconnect your health information at any time. That's good. Memory remains in your control. So you can create memory from your health conversations to personalize future chats, but memories are not created directly from connected medical records and Apple Health information. Okay. So you can use temporary chat to turn on or turn off memory settings. So temporary chat would probably be great for something like this. Additional safeguards to help protect sensitive sharing. Okay. Before it takes an action in another connected plugin that could disclose health information, like sending your running partner a training plan based on your health data. Additional safeguards, check that sharing matches your request. Okay, for sensitive actions, it may ask you to confirm before proceeding. Test these safeguards through dedicated red team exercises. So they have a separate article about how they're automating their red team exercises, which is just for security testing, basically. How to connect and use your health informations. Let's see here. You can ask it without connecting anything to use health. Get responses grounding your own information. You can choose to connect Apple Health, supported medical records from U.S. hospital systems, One Medical, or Function Health. So let's see here. So open the health from the sidebar or in the more menu in ChatGPT and select Get Started. So let's see here. So there is somewhere, it says health right there. And then you can go in, continue, you can connect health. You can enable Apple Health or whatever it is that you want to do. Okay, cool. Once connected, your information will begin seeking. Take a few minutes while it syncs. You can connect additional accounts So you can choose all these other ones here. Very cool. If you're using a wearable for fitness or nutrition app that shares data with Apple Health, make sure sharing is turned on. Once you connect Apple Health to ChatGPT, it can use information that the app makes available through Apple Health when you allow it. Available information. Let's see here. Oh man, guys, you should have told me that our music was not working. But health in the left sidebar remains your home base for connecting and managing information. Okay. Improving health intelligence with physicians. Okay. They got a lot of information here. Oh, I think I scrolled up by accident. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. Very, very neat. I am very impressed by the improvements there. Let's make sure our music is still playing. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. You've been just hearing me talk with no background music for a while now. So, very cool. This is a great improvement. I may at some point consider using something like this, especially if the controls are good. Then I think it's worth it. Let's see if we've got any questions, comments in our chat here. I didn't see anything in Rumble. Okay, I'm not seeing anything from you guys. All right. In that case, let's move on to our next article from OpenAI. They say how AI is expanding what people will do at work. They say OpenAI's economic research researches new work at the Frontier series shows how workers cross over into work beyond traditional boundaries of their roles. So let's see if we can get the short summary of this. In their new report, they study this shift. They call the resulting pattern task crossover, work historically associated with one occupation appearing in AI use of people in another. Okay. In their AI jobs transition framework, we argue that many jobs are likely to reorganize. Those jobs whose day-to-day tasks could change substantially. Okay, using our unique window into how the world of work is changing, we'll offer regular data-driven insights based on evidence. Nearly half of occupation-specific AI use crosses job boundaries. So many studies of AI and work begin with a fixed list of tasks associated with a given occupation and ask whether models can perform them. Our evidence suggests that AI is also changing who takes on which tasks. Very interesting. So nearly half of non-generic ChatGPT use is outside a user's occupation. So let's see here. I gotta see if I can understand this. So there's 61% shared or generic, and then there's 21.8% inside or near their occupation, 16.8% outside. So very interesting. So it's nearing half your percent. Your people are starting to use it for things not related to their occupation. To measure task crossover, they separate work that's associated with the occupation from work that appears across many jobs. Some activities, like writing, summarizing, scheduling, are shared too broadly to be evidence of crossover. These are classified as generic. Remaining messages, they ask whether task falls in or out of the user's occupation. Okay. This suggests that substantial part of work related to ChatGPT use is from owners expanding their role, users expanding their role. It's particularly pronounced in several groups. Okay. So the outside occupation tasks account for 77% of occupation-specific messages from customer experience workers, 75% from designers, 69% from human resource workers, 56% from legal workers, and 53% from marketers. And we can see this breakdown here. Very interesting. So I do see why this might be the case, though, because if you think about your work environment, some of the stuff that gets missed typically is the stuff in between you and the other person. You've got a particular role or set of tasks that you got to do, and then you got to coordinate with other people across teams in different disciplines. And, there's communication that has to happen there, and you have to be able to understand the other person's perspective. And sometimes things get missed if they're not handled appropriately at those points where you integrate or you are communicating between these different parties. And so it makes sense that somebody might reach over into somebody else. If they've got AI, that they might reach over a little bit into somebody else's space or discipline to understand a bit more about what they need, or to be able to deliver something to them in a way that they need it. Things like that. I think that's really, at least that's my sense. I'm kind of speculating a little bit here, but it would make sense to me why that might be the case. Let's see if they got any more information about why. So I don't know if they do. So occupations are borrowing these tasks from other roles. Evidence points to a change in division of work. Some activities that once required a handoff can now be done by the person who first encounters the need. Makes sense. The heat map below, some tasks travel farther than others. Heat map below shows task crossover by asking which occupation's job each non-generic message most closely resembles. Marketing and engineering tasks travel farthest, frequently showing up in messages from workers outside of those fields. So, very interesting. So, okay, we've got so basically, like, this is our crossover for a non-generic message. So if we're looking at engineering, the worker's occupation is here. Okay. Okay, very interesting. Yeah, so engineering has a pretty high share here. Marketing has a pretty high share, so I think that's what they said. So marketing and engineering tasks travel the farthest. Makes sense. People can communicate ideas, especially like with engineering. You can come up with, particularly with like software engineering, you can now as a non-technical person do things like mock-ups. And it makes sense for marketing too. It's very similar. You can create mock-ups for these types of things. So that is very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So it's not evenly distribute when we zoom in from occupations to specific tasks. Financial calculation and technology troubleshooting each appear among the 3 most common outside tasks in all 7 other occupation groups in the analysis. Marketing work also travels broadly. Creating marketing materials appears across 5 other groups and is especially prominent among design users. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Looking at, okay. Let's see. Design illustrates the first pattern. About 35% of messages from designers involve work usually associated with another occupation, while design tasks account for only 1.7% of messages from workers in other fields. Okay. Engineering is closer to the reverse. 18.5% of engineering messages involve tasks from other fields, but engineering tasks account for 7.4% messages among workers in other occupations. Okay, interesting. More task crossover in small businesses. That makes sense. Your small business, you have less people dedicated to, like, you when you're in a small business, like, I would generally expect you to have more generalizable skills across all of your employees. The task list itself is changing. So very, very interesting. This would be worth taking an in-depth read if you wanted to understand more about how the types of work that are changing across businesses. But I'm not like super surprised about this, but I'm glad to kind of see the data is lining up with my expectations. Let's see. Okay, no questions from you guys. Oops. I think I closed down let me add this back. Sorry, guys, give me a second here. Okay. All right, no questions from anyone. Let's hit our next article here from OpenAI, How to Manage AI Investments in this Agentic Era. 5 practical steps to understand AI usage, control spend, and invest in the work that creates the most value. And I think this is going to be very, very useful especially for like business owners or managers or anybody who's doing strategic planning. You're going to want to read this. So OpenAI's goal is to make it AI more accessible. Token price alone does not show whether AI is creating value. Leaders should work at useful work per dollar. Tasks completed, time saved, decisions improved, workflows ready to scale. Okay, as we move from chat to longer running workflows, admins need clearer visibility into demand, spend, and risk. 5 ways to invest with confidence. 1, sharpen your visibility into usage and spend. Enterprise leaders need a plain view of AI usage, who's using it, which products or models they're using, how much capacity they're consuming, and what kind of work that usage supports. This makes sense to me. Like, I guess I just view these AI agents like little AI employees. So you need to know what are the things that are getting done, just like you would measure any kind of other work that are getting done. You need to be able to measure it. You need to be able to see how much the cost is. You need to see what your outputs are for, relative to your cost. So that makes sense. You need to be able to see usage and spend here. They have, at least in OpenAI, updated usage analytics and spend controls. Let's scroll down here. Insights are different at different altitudes, help guide investment and enablement decisions. Workspace, are adoption and spend moving together? Team and user, where's demand growing? Who may need more support? Product and model, where is more expensive intelligence being used, and is that demand sustained? Okay. 2, evaluate models' efficiency by outcome return on investment. The lowest token price does not always produce the lowest total cost. Cheaper model may fail, retry, or create work that needs correction. More capable model may cost more per token, but reach an acceptable result faster with fewer attempts and less review. That is true. So you need to evaluate models based on the work that they perform. You have to use evals and reflect real tasks. So basically, you need to test. You need to have evaluations or evals where you have some predefined task that you want to have tested, and when you introduce a new model, or you want to see if a model is going to be able to perform well on those set of tasks, then you go through all those tests, you make sure that those evaluations are matching your expected performance, and then you make the decision based on that. So for priority workflows, track cost per accepted outcome. It's a good idea. In customer support, that may be a resolved case. In engineering, that may be tested change that passes review. Pair that cost with business value, such as time saved, cycle time reduced, revenue protected, risk avoided, or capacity created. So this also implies, though, guys, that you gotta have metrics in your business. If you don't have metrics in your business, you will not be able to assess whether these things are actually adding value for you. Model choice is only part of the equation. Clear instructions, focused tools, reusable context, explicitly stopping conditions that can reduce loops and wasted spend. Totally makes sense. Number 3, govern advanced workflows before they scale. Enterprise leaders should treat governance as their operating layer that determines which AI work can scale. The practical work is to define the context that ChatGPT can use, which tools it can access, what actions it can take, and who approves higher risk steps, and how additional capacity is granted when teams find valuable workflows. So This becomes important as teams adopt plugins, connectors, computer use, frontier capabilities across enterprise systems. Gives ChatGPT work gives admin centralized controls for access, approved context, blah blah blah. Spend controls. Okay. The deployment engineers work with customers on evals. Yeah. So. Yeah, basically you need to understand your workflows. You need to define and understand what your workflows are. Based on the metrics that you're seeing, you'll be able to determine which parts of your workflow are able to scale and are needing to scale. So you have to think about the governance, of that, your spend controls, your security controls, all those things. Like you have to consider all those things as a part of your workflow. Number 4, fund workflows that can compound. So enterprise leaders should manage AI investments as a portfolio. Broad access for everyday productivity, function-specific workflows that improve repeatable work, and a small number of strategic bets built around proprietary company context. The strongest candidates are workflows that repeat at meaningful scale, have clear ownership, and can be measured for quality, risk, and business value. Yeah, so basically, I feel like this is repeating some of the stuff from before, but you need to be able to understand your workflows. You got to define your workflows, understand them, place proper controls around them. You need to make sure you know who owns these workflows, not just from a building standpoint, but from a maintenance standpoint. Like who is responsible for maintaining these things and making sure that they're running as expected. You need to be able to have measurements, your metrics in place, so that way you can figure out, is this thing producing the quality I want? What's the risk that we're taking on by implementing this? Are we getting the appropriate business value? So that totally makes sense. So funding should follow maturity. Exploration should test whether the model can handle the task. Validation should test representative cases against a clear quality bar. Production funding should support the integrations, controls, reliability, and change management required to scale. So if you're a small business, you may not have heard of the word change management, but you got to think about what you're deploying, as far as change, like a change management process, to ensure that you're not breaking things and you have an acceptable amount of risk or low risk or no risk on the changes that you are deploying. So shared capabilities such as identity, trusted connectors, curated knowledge, evaluations, observability, model routing, reusable agent patterns should be funded centrally so that each new workflow becomes easier and safer to launch. So basically build up your framework, your systems around these things appropriately, and then you can begin your investment into these. And I think this bit here that they mention on how you do it, like the order you do it, is pretty good. So like you have an exploration phase, you have a validation phase to make sure that things are working as expected, and then like once you kind of figure out, okay, this is really going to work well, then you put in the funding to your production systems and all the supporting infrastructure for these things. So that makes a lot of sense. Number 5, match capacity to proven demand. So once a workflow proves its value, leaders should match the product capacity and support model to its demand. So ChatGPT Works provides ready-made capabilities for chat, coding, agentic workflows, connectors, plugins, computer use, blah, blah, blah. Companies can extend that foundation with proprietary data, permissions, evaluations, workflow logic, where those elements create differentiated value. Okay. So for commercial production workloads, commercial infrastructure should match usage patterns. Okay, scale tier for predictable high-value API workloads, batch flex processing, prompt, blah, blah, blah. Lots of technical jargon in there, but basically when you see that you have things set up right, quality's looking good, you're getting your tasks done regularly, you're measuring these things, you know that it's actually doing what it's supposed to, then depending on the demand you have, you can then kind of start to scale these things up. So this was good. I like this. This was very, very practical. I may go back and look at this sometime in the future as well as a useful kind of guide here as I think about it for our own enterprise. So let me see if we've got any questions here. Okay, no questions. And just a few articles left. Let's try to blaze through it. Oh man, we're at 7. I really want to get into the open knowledge format. So looks like we're going to be around a little lighter today. Let's get into our next article from OpenAI, a scorecard for the AI age. Let's see here. The question I hear from CFOs everywhere is simple. How do we get more value from our AI spend? So this seems relevant, related to our last article here. For years, market measured the success of software through adoption, seats purchased, users active, licenses renewed. Understanding the value of AI demands a more powerful measure, work accomplished. The basic economic question facing CFOs and other business leaders is whether the value of work AI completes grows faster than the cost of producing it. Yep. Is your output greater than your input? Answering that question requires looking more deeply than a metric such as cost per token. Lower cost model may have cheaper tokens, but getting great results may require more attempts, more time, and more human review. Capable model may have expensive tokens, but complete the same task in one pass. So what matters is a successful outcome. The metric, ultimate scorecard for the age of AI could be looked at as, quote, useful intelligence per dollar. This metric answers 4 key questions. Is AI completing work that matters? Number 2, what does each successful task cost? Number 3, can people depend on the result? And number 4, does each AI dollar produce more value as usage grows? So does it compound as you have more growth of your use? So start with the work itself. For number 1, how much useful work gets done? Start with the work itself. How many issues did AI help resolve? Tokens create more value. Okay, the best place. Okay, one workflow. Define what done means. Measure that outcome. Yeah, this makes sense. It's a metric. Like, you need some way to define what done is, and that's your part of your metric. What does a successful task actually cost? So for that success, how much does it cost? Makes sense. Number 3, how often does AI get the work right? So how dependable is it? Okay, and then number 4, does each AI dollar buy more work as usage grows? So I'm skipping through these things because I think some of these things are self-evident. If you want to read the details, you totally can. But I feel like a lot of this makes sense. The final question is whether the economics improve at scale. You can measure this by following the same workflow over time, track how many tasks met the quality bar, the total cost of completing them, and the cost per successful task. So that makes sense. You basically just take all those things and then look at them over time. Taken together, these 4 measures tell us whether useful intelligence per dollar is improving. Useful work tells us what AI produces. Cost per successful task tells what it takes to reach the outcome. Dependability tells us how much of the work people can confidently use. And value at scale tells us whether each unit of compute accomplish more over time. So this was good too. I like that last article because it was very insightful as to how you should be thinking about your investment into AI. And that goes along really well with this. You need a scorecard for that. You need a metric. You need sets of metrics, measurements to be able to test that you are actually getting the things that you expect to get from it. And then you can figure out how to spend more money. All right, let's see if we've got any more questions from anyone. All right, no questions. So let's hit our next article from OpenAI, introducing the ChatGPT for Small Business program, helping entrepreneurs use AI to turn ambitious ideas into growing businesses. I say small businesses start with people who are exceptional at what they do, a craft, a trade, an idea they believe in, but building that business demands more than expertise alone. With a lean team, limited time, few resources, every owner is expected to be a marketer, accountant, salesperson, operator, and strategist all in one. We believe that AI can change that and be a force multiplier that extends individual expertise, increases capacity, and gives everyone access to world-class tools that they need to achieve their greatest ambitions. Yes, absolutely. I'm all about this. I am all about this. Well said, OpenAI. We're announcing the launch of ChatGPT for Small Business program, initiative to help small businesses be more productive and scale their businesses with ChatGPT. The program includes hands-on virtual training, in-person small business AI academies, new guides to get started, new agents and partners built for small businesses. Very nice. So join us on this journey, share feedback with our product and go-to-market teams through webinar, Q&As, conversations at local events, and surveys. So you can sign up, receive updates and opportunities to participate. If you go to this form that they've got here, you'll get the latest updates right in your inbox. This is fantastic. I love this. Maybe I'll sign up for this just to kind of see some of this stuff in action. Very nice, OpenAI. I love that they're pouring back into small businesses. I have a heart for small businesses. I have tried, not necessarily just tried, but I have in the past done some of my own business, and it is very difficult and challenging as a solo entrepreneur. You are expected to juggle a lot of things. And when you're, like they said, when your skill set is in one particular area, as far as like mastery or expertise, your other areas are usually a little lacking and you need some help. So AI is great for, in my opinion, for helping somebody like shore up their different skills. Helps really complement you, helps you explore things, ask questions, understand things in maybe a way that you didn't before. And it really helps you kind of fill in the gaps. So I love this. I love what OpenAI is doing here. And if you have a small business, you should definitely check that out and take advantage of it. All right, let's take a look at our last article. Let's take a look at our next article and our last article from OpenAI. Introducing OpenAI Presence, a proven enterprise product for putting AI agents to work across customer and internal workflows. I'm excited about this one. The challenge for enterprises is no longer proving that AI agents can work, it's making them reliable enough to do high-value work in production. Agent behavior must also adapt as products, policies, and user behavior change. That requires more than a model. It requires systems, evaluations, and deployment expertise to improve agents as those conditions change without giving up control. They're introducing OpenAI Presence, a product that helps enterprises deploy trusted AI agents that can answer questions, resolve issues, use company systems, take approved actions, and escalate to people when needed. Proven through the years of working with customers at enterprise scale, Presence pairs model reasoning with policies, guardrails, and escalation rules that verify accuracy and performance. The enterprises are rejoicing. Especially regulated environments. So each deployment starts with a specific job, such as resolving billing issues, supporting insurance claims, or resolving employee IT service requests. The agent receives only the knowledge and system access required for that job. Love the controls here. The company sets the policies, what the agent can do when it needs approval, when a person should take over. Nice. Figuring out that human in the loop. After launch production sessions and escalations reveal gaps, Codex proposes updates that teams can test and approve, helping the agent adapt as customer behavior changes. Very, very nice. So OpenAI works alongside each customer to identify high-value workflow, connect the necessary knowledge and systems, establish permissions and policies, test the agent, and bring it into production. As the deployment expands, OpenAI and select systems integrators can continue to support it. It was developed with Presence was developed in tight collaboration with OpenAI's research team, with generalized insights from every deployment informing ongoing research and product development and improving the product for all customers over time. So it's available today for voice and chat agents. Very nice. Such as customer support, outbound sales, high-risk internal workflows. A customer might use it to resolve a billing issue, from understanding the request and verifying the customer to look up account information, apply company policy, and taking and approve action. Very, very nice. Proven in leading enterprises. Let's see what else they have to say. Availability. It's available to eligible enterprise customers as a deployed product through limited general availability program. Deployments are led by OpenAI for deployed engineers and select global systems integrators. It's not yet available as a self-serve product. So you will have to probably be a bigger enterprise for something like this at the moment. But this is great because, this is where things are headed. And even if you're not a big enterprise just yet, these kinds of things are coming your way in a future near you. So very, very cool. Love to see these improvements for, controls, integrating things with internal workflows. This is where, it starts with the enterprise and then it's going to trickle down, especially to the smaller businesses. So this is fantastic. I love it. Let's see if we've got any feedback questions from anyone here in our chats. Okay. Let's take a look at our next article from Google. Create, edit, and star in videos with 2 Google Vids updates. And I've tested Google Vids in the past and really enjoyed it. It was a good experience. So let's see what they have to say. They say Gemini Omni and personal avatars in Google Vids make video creation easier than ever. And I have played with the personal avatar feature. It was very limited in at the time in how long it could go, but this is really nice. Now you can generate and edit high-quality clips using everyday language. Create custom digital avatar to star in your videos. Very nice. So, let's see. Okay, they're rolling out 2 updates to make it easier to edit, personalize your videos, Gemini Omni, and personal avatars. Omni takes the hard work out of the editing process. So generating, refining high-quality clips is easy as writing a single prompt. With personal avatars, you have an entirely new way to star in videos without setting up a camera. Very cool. So you can generate videos from text and images. Let's see here. They made this process of creating videos easier by rolling out VO 3.1. Okay, let's kind of see here. Yeah, so you go in, you add your ingredients. Make this spaceship, fly through the photorealistic galaxy. Okay. You insert that. Okay. Very cool. And then it generates the little video. That's really cool. Okay. So now they're bringing Gemini Omni to Vids, which is fantastic because Omni is a really great model for video generation. You can create and edit high quality videos by describing what you want to see. Simple text prompt with natural language. Add image references like a photo or a rough sketch for more detail. It mixes your inputs and generates a video matching your vision. Chat to edit step by step. Getting a video exactly right requires a few tweaks. After that first draft, Making those edits is now easy as describing what you want to see, whether you're refining your video you generated with Omni or a clip you shot on your phone. Okay, let's kind of see this here. So edit your videos with Gemini Omni in Google Vids. Click AI video, then add your video here. Generate a video showing this room decorated with mid-century. Okay. Click edit, add in more blue tones. Nice. So you guys can't hear it, but it's got like wind blowing and stuff like that too. Because Omni isn't just for video, like visuals. It also includes the audio output. So that's pretty cool. Start in videos instantly. You want to send a quick video update or personalized shout out, but don't have time to get camera ready. With personalized avatars, you can create a digital avatar that looks and sounds like you. Just upload a selfie and a short voice recording from here. Type what you want to say, and it'll deliver the message. No recording required. So you can star in your videos with personal avatars. Click the little avatar button. Hit select. Generate a video of me. You do like at me delivering this happy birthday to Sarah. You add your additional assets there, and then boom. Yeah, so you guys can't hear that, but had a realistic voice, sounded pretty good, very nice. I did play with it previously. I'm not sure how, if they've extended the time yet on these personal avatars, but when we went through it previously, what we would do is we would go through this step of you had to scan a QR code, and then I had to show my face and talk to the camera and turn my head and all this stuff, and then it was able to generate a pretty realistic looking video of me and speech and everything. So I was impressed with it, especially given that it was in like a beta or something like that and kind of hidden away. So they say create and share with transparency. They want you to feel confident. Okay, and they're including the invisible synth ID digital watermark on these things. So very, very, very cool. The personal Gemini Omni and personal avatars are available in Google Vids for Google AI Pro and Ultra subscribers and Google Workspace business customers. So if you have any of these, then you will have access to this today. Very nice from Google. Let's see if we've got any feedback from anyone, questions, anything. All right, we don't have any questions. Let's move on to our next article from Google. Connect more of your apps to search. You'll be able to securely link and interact your go-to services directly in AI mode. So this is in Google search. When you go, you can hook in all these different things. You can already connect some of your favorite services to the Gemini app, and now you can get, to help you get even more done, we're enabling it directly in your apps in search. Okay. Starting to roll out this week in the US, you can securely link and interact with some of your go-to services right in the AI mode, so it's down there. Let's say you're planning a barbecue and using it to help with your grocery list. If you connect Instacart, you can add all the ingredients straight into your Instacart shopping cart, checkout with a few taps on your app or on the website. Very cool. If you're working on a project where you need some design concepts like creating a flyer, you can ask Canva to show you some template options. Very nice. Want to build the perfect soundtrack? You can use it to curate a playlist, save it to YouTube Music, press play to start the celebration. Very nice. This is a good natural extension for the AI mode in Google. Very, very useful for a lot of people, I think. And we're starting to move from just information collection in these search engines to really kind of getting stuff done day to day. So very, very nice. Let's move on to our last article. Let's move on to our next article and our, almost last article from Google. Gemini API managed agents. So this is going to be a bit more technical, and we'll breeze through this real quick, but they now have managed agents in the Gemini API, now default to Gemini 3.6 Flash. New environment hooks let you block, lint, or audit tools, tool calls inside your sandbox. They've added budget controls, scheduled triggers, and free tier access. So very neat. So they're adding a lot of additional features here. If you're using the API, then you will be very happy. Again, this is kind of, nerdy here, so we won't go into too many more details. But if you've got a developer that you're working with, and especially if you're using the Google ecosystem's AI tooling, then go check this out. See if you can take advantage of it for your own systems and usage. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for the majority of the major articles for our news today. And now I'd like to kind of get into, I'm kind of looking here to see if we've got any new questions, anything that anybody wants us to cover specifically. But I'm not seeing anything here from anyone. So I think what we're going to do is go ahead and move into our next segment here, where we actually get some hands-on with some tools. Like I said earlier, I really want us to be able to get familiar with this new format that Google has put out. It's really kind of early, like an early stage format, but it's specifically intended for managing your information in your file systems. So they call this the open knowledge format. And I'm going to go ahead and show the article here that you can see related to this announcement. This, I don't think, is overly technical. It's pretty simple. But anybody who's using like AI agents or AI employees to help them manage information, or anybody who's using AI agents or AI employees that need to access information that has been previously defined, anybody with either of these use cases, I think, is going to find this very valuable. So they say in this article here that they are introducing the open knowledge format. They say as foundation models continue to improve, the lack of relevant context often limits what they can do, especially as they are used to build agentic systems. While these models can help you write code, summarize documents, or analyze data set, they still need the right information to produce actionable and accurate results. So they are now introducing the open knowledge format, an open specification that formalizes the LLM wiki pattern into a portable, interoperable format. This is vendor-neutral, agent, and human-friendly standard for representing the metadata, context, and curated knowledge that modern AI systems need. So LLM Wiki is something that was designed by Andrew Karpathy, or designed or formalized, however you want to say it. Basically, it was just a way that he created for his AI agents to be able to interact with a wiki type of system, really for personal use. You could use it for businesses, but Google's kind of taking this a step further and formalizing a structure here so that way this can be used for agents to be able to find information. And the reason this is important, I think, to call out is there are these systems that people design called like RAG, RAG systems, RAG. And basically those RAG systems stand for Retrieval Augmented Generation. The gist of it is that with RAG, you throw all these documents, all this information into like this specialized database called a vector database. And all this information gets correlated, and then when you ask a question, the AI just kind of goes and it looks up all the related keywords and it tries to find the relevant chunks of information, pull it back on the fly, and then summarize that information for you. Now, that can be, I think, useful, especially if you're trying to find like a needle in a haystack, of semantic information. But the thing that it's missing, I think, is the ability to utilize structure and metadata to be able to find relevant information. The beauty of something like the LLM Wiki or this new open knowledge format is really going to be that this is just a folder system. At the end of the day, this is just a folder system with files that are written in a certain way, and then the AI can take advantage of that. It can go down the folders, and it can open certain documents, and then it can find the relevant information from the structure, the organization that you have within that folder system. And it lends itself to being very human friendly and also AI friendly. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, if I want, for example, to define SOPs or playbooks for my business, having something like this is going to be a really good fit for that, especially if my team is working with AI employees or AI agents day to day. I can take like segments of those things and give that, that knowledge to certain AI employees or agents, and they can work off that. They can go find relevant information, related information, all this stuff. So this is really, really, it's kind of a simple idea to some degree, but it's also very powerful. So they say, as published, the open knowledge format version 0.1 represents knowledge as a directory of markdown files with a YAML front matter, with a small set of agreed upon conventions that let wikis written by different producers be consumed by different agents without translation. And that's the other kind of key here, is that because it's a standard, in theory, you can take, they've actually written like a whole prompt that instructs the AI on how to write and read from this format. So you just pop in that prompt to the AI, and then it already knows how to handle this. And then doesn't matter what AI you're working with, you can just kind of give it that prompt to have the instructions on how to know how to talk to this thing. And then you just let it go. And so if you're following the standard, and if other organizations are following the standard, then you never have to worry about which agent you use, which agent you swap in or out or whatever. It's compatible across businesses. Like, it's a standard that makes things easier for everyone. So they, again, very simple. It's just a folder or directory with markdown files. It's got a little bit of, they call it YAML. It's just a little bit of information at the top of the file, of each of these files, and that's it. There's no complex compression scheme, no new runtime, no required software development kits. It's just Markdown, readable in any editor, just files, so you can ship it as a tarball. You can, put it on a Git repo. You can put it on a private server, wherever. And then just a little bit of YAML on the top of the file. So there's just some like common fields like type, title, description, resource tags, and timestamp. They say if you've used Obsidian, Notion, Hugo, or any of the LLM wiki patterns that have emerged over the last year, the shape will feel familiar. OKF formalizes a small set of conventions needed to make these patterns interoperable. So we're going to look at Obsidian today. I'm going to see about playing with Obsidian, because I want to see how well this does. I haven't used Obsidian a lot, but I've liked what I've seen from Obsidian, and so I kind of want to get familiar with it. So they got more information here. Let's take a look at the problem that it can solve for your organization, how it works, how to get started with it. A fragmented context landscape. In most organizations, the information that foundation models use is overwhelmingly internal knowledge. The schema of a table, your business meaning of a metric, the runbook for an incident, the join paths between two systems, the deprecation notice for an old API, etc. Today, these atoms of knowledge live in a variety of highly fragmented systems, metadata catalogs, wikis, third-party systems, shared drives, code comments, doc strings, notebook cells, heads of a few senior engineers. This was a big pain for me when I worked at UKG. there was information scattered in all sorts of places. And we tried to make a good effort to organize this information, and we did make some good progress on it. There was some room for improvement, obviously. This was a big pain point, and this is a big pain point, I think, for a lot of large organizations or small organizations even. Organizing your information is hard. And it's not just about organizing your information. Information has to be organized in such a way that it can be discovered through the structure that you organize it with. But then you need to be able to find that needle in the haystack also through like keyword searches. You need semantic searches. You need these kinds of things built on top of your structure to be able to find the most relevant information. And I think if you do this right, and then you add the AI on top of it, this solves a huge problem for so many people. A problem that I was looking to solve a couple years back. So when an AI agent needs to answer, how do I compute weekly active users from our event stream? It has to assemble the answer from these scattered, mutually incompatible services. Every vendor offers its own catalog, its own software development kit, its own knowledge graph schema, and none of the knowledge is easily portable across products or organizations. The result is that every agent builder is solving the same context assembly problem from scratch. Every catalog vendor is reinventing the same data models, and knowledge itself is locked behind whichever surface created it. Right. Knowledge as a living wiki. Developer teams are changing how they build AI agents. Instead of using models to search the same documents for the same facts over and over, you can give your agents shared markdown library that grows more useful over time. This lets your agents take on the drudgery of reading and updating their own files while your team curates the content and manages it like code. So, they're talking about this from the developer perspective, but I think this is relevant for all information workers that have to organize their information. Anybody who has to organize information, they can use this. So, you can do version control if you really want to as a layer on that, but I don't think you necessarily have to do it that way. You can still take advantage of this for business purposes, common business purposes. Andrei Karpathy, the prominent AI researcher, articulates this idea the most crisply in his LLM Wiki gist. LLMs don't get bored. They don't forget to update cross-reference. A cross-reference, they can touch 15 files in one pass, he writes. The bookkeeping that causes humans to abandon personal wikis is exactly what LLMs are good at, and I would agree. Similar knowledge as a wiki pattern keeps reappearing under different names like Obsidian Vault's wired decoding agents, agentsmd/CloudMD family of convention files, repos of index.md and logmd artifacts that agents consult before doing any real work, and metadata as code repositories inside of data teams. The pattern is compelling and powerful, but each instance is bespoke. Karpathy's wiki and your team's wiki and a vendor catalog export may all look alike, but none of them are intentionally designed to cooperate. There's no agreed upon answer to what fields every document should carry or what file names mean what. As a result, knowledge encoding in wikis remains siloed with the original teams, leading to redundant effort whenever a new agent is built. So if you can get your whole organization on this, you will have a much better time. What's missing is a format, not another service. And OKF is this format. How it works, the design is here in one screen. Very simple. So an OKF bundle is a directory of markdown files representing concepts. Anything you want to capture, including tables, datasets, metrics, playbooks, runbooks, and APIs. Each concept is one file. The file path is the concept's identity. So you've got sales here. You've got, looks like an index file in the sales folder. You've got data sets here. You've got another index here under your data sets. You've got an orders DB file, so orders database file. You've got a table here for, you've got a folder here for tables. And then each one of these represents like a table in, for example, a database. You got another index file at that level. So this would be one table, orders MD, another table, customers MD. Then you've got your metrics, you've got your index folder file, that is. And I think this was probably meant to be indented a little bit more to the left, but you've got your weekly active users metrics. So each concept document has a small block of YAML front matter for structured fields and a markdown body for everything else. So up here, these are your little bit of metadata that kind of describes, what it is, your resource, your tags, your timestamp. You got the rest of your information down here. Concepts link to each other with normal markdown links, turning the directory into a graph of relationships that is richer than a parent-child link implied by the file system. And that's kind of key. You need both. You need the parent-child relationships of your directories, but then having this information linking is also key between documents. Bundles can optionally include index MD files for progressive disclosure as agents navigate their hierarchy. So as they kind of go down, they can read that file and figure out where to go next. And log MD files for chronological history of changes. So as things change over time, you can see what that change was. The full VO1 specification, including conformance criteria, cross-linking rules, small number of reserved file names, fits on a single page. 3 principles behind your design. It's minimally opinionated, requires exactly one thing of every concept, a type field. Everything else, like what types exist, whether fields to include, what sections the body has, is left to the producer. Spec defines the interoperability surface, not the content model. The producer-consumer independence. OKF cleanly separates who writes the information from who consumes it. A bundle hand-authored by a human can be consumed by an AI agent. A bundle generated by a metadata export pipeline can be browsed in a visualizer. Bundled synthesized by one LLM can be queried by another. The format is the contract. The tooling at each end is independently swappable. And then number 3, format, not platform. It's not tied to any specific cloud, database, model provider, or agent framework. It will never require a proprietary account or SDK to read, write, or serve. They're publishing it as an open standard because the value of a knowledge format comes from how many parties speak it, not from who owns it. So that's very, very nice. They're shipping with the spec an enrichment agent that walks a BigQuery dataset, drafts an OKF concept document for every table and view, runs a second LLM pass that crawls the authoritative documentation, enriches each concept with citations, schemas, and joint paths. Very nice. So if you're running, Google BigQuery, that'll be fantastic for you. Second, a static HTML visualizer. So you can turn any OKF bundle into an interactive graph view of a single self-contained file. No backend, no install. On the viewing side, no data leaves the page. Very nice. We'll, in our case, probably not need this as much because we'll have Obsidian, but I don't know, maybe we'll check it out. 3 ready to browse sample bundles. The GA, that's, what is that? Google GA is it's for metrics. Google Analytics. Google Analytics e-commerce, Stack Overflow, and Bitcoin public datasets produced by the reference agent and committed to the repo as living examples of the conformant OKF. These are proof of concept deliberately. Agent demonstrates one way to produce OKF. Nothing about the format requires a specific agent framework or LLM. The visualizer demonstrates one way to consume it. Nothing about the format requires HTML or graph view. We expect and want the ecosystem of providers and consumers to grow far beyond what we've shipped. So it's the starting point. They published it as open. They say read the spec, write a producer for your own source system, your database, your documentation site, write a consumer, a viewer, search index, try the reference implementation against your own data, file issues, send PRs, propose extensions. So they want you to, help improve it. So if you want to go check this out, and we will, the spec, the repo, the sample bundles are in GitHub. They've updated Google Cloud's knowledge catalog to be able to ingest open knowledge format. What is knowledge catalog? Let's see here. What is this? I might have to check this out later because I don't really know much about it. I'd like to understand more about it later, so we'll go back for now. Let's see what else. You can find the relevant code and examples here. So we're going to go to GitHub, and we are definitely going to check this out. So we've got OKF here, the knowledge catalog. OKF is under knowledge catalog. I guess that's probably related. And they already have a v0.2 specification, so they have made a change because they announced 0.1. I wonder, I'm very curious about if they've got release notes, actually. Let's see here. They're probably using... How much you want to bet they're actually using their own thing to generate documentation. So let's see here. YOKF. If you guys have any questions about this as we're going through it, let me know. We're gonna probably download Obsidian and then give this a shot. Okay, so they got the visualizer in here and everything. Okay. So the thing that we would need to do is what I want to do is I want to play with having like an AI help with this kind of stuff. What I could imagine this doing, what I could imagine us doing practically would be, as a human, you go in, maybe you're writing some documentation, and then what you do is you have the AI kind of come behind you and clean up your stuff and format it appropriately, so that way you don't have to worry about messing up the format or anything like that, and everything is conforming appropriately. Maybe it does spell checks for you and all that stuff too. So that would be very, very nice. So they've got this spec here is what you would feed into the agent, I believe. So it tells you the version, what it is, the motivation, portable, blah, 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 goals, non-goals, terminology. They explain the bundle structure, subdirectory. Okay, reserved file names, update history, see a certain section. Okay. Resource URI that uniquely identifies the underlying asset that the concept describes, absent for concepts that describe abstract ideas rather than physical resources. So that makes sense. Tags, short strings for cross-cutting categorization. That's very nice. Description. Let's just kind of see here. Body standard markdown. There's no required body sections. The following headings are conventional. So schema, description of an asset's columns, fields, examples, concrete usage, computation. Okay. Okay, concept bound to a resource, example. Provenance, trust, and life cycle. Let's see where these come from. How much should I trust it? Is it still current? Okay. Sources, where it derives. Where it's derived from, external or internal to the bundle. So it could be like documentation. Yeah, so like external documentation from the bundle. Makes sense. Generated, okay, trust. Generated records show how the current content was produced. Generated by, generated at. Okay, verified. Records of who's confirmed the content against its sources. Okay. Nice. That's good. So, you know, you can have like a human in the loop to do that secondary check to make sure everything is looking good before you approve it. It's very nice. Trust tiers, consumers derive trust tier from verified, lowest to highest. No verified key, unverified. Verified by non-human, actors only, machine confirmed, or human reviewed. Okay. Concept with no trust. Front matter still consumable. Consumers must not reject it. It's just for advisory signals, not access control. Life cycle status, draft stable deprecated. That's good. Okay, so you know, if you've got multiple things kind of working at the same file, then you can control. Okay, life cycle still after. Like if there's a particular date, it would be no longer relevant. Okay, cross-linking. This is really worth going through it. I like how well thought out this is. It helps me kind of understand like how, you know, I guess this is really worth a read. It helps you kind of understand like how these things would be structured and how you might be able to use them in various ways. Concepts may link to other concepts using standard markdown links. Two forms are supported. Absolute bundle, relevant, related, or relative. Okay. Link asserts relationship, specific kind of parent-child references, joins with, depends on, is conveyed by surrounding prose, not the link itself. Okay. Consumers must tolerate broken links, link whose target doesn't exist in the bundle. It's not malformed and may simply resent not yet written knowledge. Path valued fields. Let's see, several fields, sources, year, at tester resource. Okay. References convention, subdirectory conventionally mirrors external material. Run instructions or code as first class concepts within the bundle. Okay, actor convention fields that that record an identity, generated by, verified by, use a single actor convention, Producer version for agents and tools like reference agent / Gemini Pro. Human :ID for a person like human a Hormati. Process ID for a automated process like process finance nightly. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, index files may appear in a directory, including the bundle root, support progressive disclosure. So that just means like we're getting incremental information. It contains no front matter with one exception. The except for the bundle root index MD may carry an OKF version key. The body uses one or more sections. Okay, each grouping concepts under heading. Entries should include a description from the linked concept front matter. Producers may generate it automatically. Consumers may synthesize. Okay. Logged files. Log MD may appear at any level of the hierarchy to record history of changes to that scope. The format is a flat list of date grouped entries. Yep. Okay. Attested computation concept carries not just what the value means, but a sanctioned way to compute it. So a consumer can confirm the agent ran a blessed computation instead of improvising its own. Provenance. Answer section 5.1 answers where did this come from. Attestation answers was this number produced the way we said it must be. OKF records the computation and the means to check it. It does not execute anything itself. Computation is its own concept. Sanction computation is a standalone concept. Let's see here. Concept needs to be a value. A metric BigQuery table links to it with a normal markdown link. 3 properties motivate the standalone concept. Okay. Contact field. Let's see here. The contract is concept top level font front matter. Concept carries runtime required for this type. Like example values include BigQuery, Postgres. Okay, so what did you use to run it? The parameters that you used, computation, path, file holding the computation used instead of an inline body fence. Okay, executor, how the computation is run. A tester, the deterministic check, resource names, code, no LM that takes a receipt and returns a verdict. Is meant to run consumer side. Okay. So, for example, we've got type, description, status. Okay, our runtime was BigQuery. Our parameters here, the executor, so how the computation is run. So this shows you the skills basically that were used to run it. Okay. Computation here. Binds declared parameters per recognized policy, revision policy. Okay. Provide the computation in one of 2 ways. Inline, single fence code block under that, or by a file set computation to a path, omit the body fence. Okay. Concepts that use a computation. Okay. Let's see. They have some information here about conformance. Okay, this document specifies revisions are marked that. Bundles may declare the version. Okay, following our intentional left to the future revision, runtime protocol, a tester. Yeah, and I would like to know more. I think I need to read more separately through this computation bit because that's very interesting. I'd like to know what the I would kind of like to know what the reference agent samples bundles. I'd like to know what we changed here, what they changed here with the version 2. They don't have any. They don't have any release notes. Let's just ask Google what was changed between Google's OKF 0.1 and 0.2. Introduces provenance trust signals and lifecycle management. Adds opt-in fields like sources, author, usage count, last modified, track where data originated, trust verification generated at the lifecycle freshness, stale after, so it knows what's current, attestation. Okay, with a specific runtime parameters, executor and tester metadata to validate business for validated business metrics. Okay, timestamp is superseded for by generated at inline citations list. Okay. Okay, cool. I feel like oh, they have some. It looks like they have an article here about this, so we might be able to see. Okay, so while that kind of goes, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to download Obsidian. Obsidian. So I'm going to go ahead and download Obsidian. We're going to get this running. Wow, this is taking... Oh, there we go. Finally. So, and be good. Let's see here. Wow, they introduced open knowledge format back in June. So it's been a while. So I'm going to have to go back through this and read this at some point. But for now, let's go ahead and get Obsidian downloaded. I want to go ahead and really, I want to try this out. And see kind of what the how maybe some ways that I can interact with this thing. I could see this being like a skill at some point. You introduce to your AI agents, and you know, they kind of know what information to look for when they are when they're documenting things or when they're looking for information. Obsidian. So let's see here. 1 second, and we're gonna pull this over. Give me a second, guys. All right. All right, so let's do this. We got Obsidian downloaded. I can't. How do I move this over? Give me a second, guys. I gotta move this over here. Okay. So we've got Obsidian downloaded and installed. We're gonna let's do a quick start because I don't know if I've ever really played with Obsidian. I feel if I did, it's been a while. But you know, my use case, what I would kind of like, how I would think about it using this in a business would be something like, you know, you run Obsidian and you basically pull, you can set up like a Google Drive or like a Microsoft SharePoint or whatever locally on your machine as like a, you know, an online drive. And then I can create files. You know, I could run Obsidian on top of those folders, and then that would sync up to the cloud automatically. And so I'm not having to worry about uploading things separately. Everything I'm doing is changing. And then all the changes that I make with my AI agent is going through and making those changes on those files, but then they're automatically synced to the cloud. So that kind of stuff would probably work really well. At least that's how I'm thinking through using it. So let's say quick start. Oh, okay. Was that before? Try the importer. Okay, that pulls up. Okay, when you go to importer, it pulls all sorts of other things. Helps you migrate from various formats. So they've even got like HTML formatting. So very interesting here. Okay. So when you're ready, delete this note, make the vault your own. Okay, create a link. Oh. Okay. So if I create a link, how do I open back up the, let's see here. Open a quick switcher. Okay. Okay, find. There's probably hotkeys for these things that I would have to learn. That would help. It would help a lot. Open the graph view. Okay, so that's our graph view. Oh, I see. So that's actually a tab. So we can do that. We can create a new tab and open the graph view here. Okay, cool. Can I like, how do I split my view? I don't know how I got that before. Create a new canvas. Add a card. Drag a note from the vault. Drag media from the vault. Oh, wow. Okay. Delete. Okay. Let's see here. We've got insert template. Failed to list. Okay, so there's no templates folder configured, so it's giving me here. Open command palette. Oh, very interesting. So these are all my commands. Create a new base. I'm gonna have to learn all these different concepts here. This is very interesting. So let's say, okay, untitled base, like a table. Man, I'm gonna have to definitely learn some of these concepts. Okay, so let's not create a link. Currently, one link pointing to this file. Okay, it'll move to your system trash. So if I go here, if I create a link, it'll create it again for the first time. So I guess if you click it and okay. So very cool stuff here that I'm learning with all these things. View a note. So new note. Okay, so these are called notes, these little things here. New folders. Okay. Auto reveal, let's see. Auto reveal current file. Expand all. I don't know what that's supposed to do. Bookmarks. Okay. All right. So let's do this because I can manage vaults. I can create like different vaults. So like categories of things. What I really kind of want to do, there's just a lot more here to explore and learn. And I don't want to take up too much time doing that. What I really want to do is I really want to run an AI against this thing. And I want to use it as like a way for me to do knowledge, management and things like that. So that way I have like a knowledge vault that kind of grows over time. So for example, what I could do is I could say, hey, I want you to take, all the concepts from my last live stream and I want you to kind of put them in there and link relevant information together. So something like that could be very helpful. I could see the other thing that I really foresee using this for would be like documenting like playbooks, SOPs, things like that. So that way, I could run an AI agent on them going forward. So let me do one. I need to figure out what I want to run, but before I do that, we need to find out where this is saving to. So when I run this thing, I need to know what folder are we? Because my assumption is that these vaults are folders. So I just need to know where the folders are at. There's lots of plugins here. Stuff that's not even turned on. Man, I really gotta learn how to use this if this is the way. Editors, files. Okay. Vault folder. So how do I know what folder this vault is in? Because I got to be able to give access to the AI. If I don't know the folder that this thing is in. Okay. I wonder where is this located? Settings. It's taking me to the same settings. Because Gonna have to ask Google. Where does Obsidian store files? Okay. So they're saved. I don't know. Manage vaults. Oh, here we go. Okay. So it's under documents. Finder. All right, now I gotta find Finder. Isn't that ironic when you gotta find your Finder? Let's see. So let me go to here. Let me go to documents somewhere. Documents. Do I not have a documents folder? I do not see a documents folder. Huh. I do not know why it... Okay. All right, this is confusing. This is a Mac thing and kind of confusing. So I have no idea. So okie dokie. Because I don't see... I am so confused by this, guys. I do enjoy the Mac ecosystem, but this is a tad confusing. Why? LS. I can see it there. In Finder, though, it does not show it when I go and I look at my home, like my user folder. And I am really unclear as to why that is. So we are just going to have to... we'll just... Okay, so I know where this is now. So we've got Obsidian Vault. Now what I can do is... We've got this here, and I think what I want to do is I need something relevant to start with as information. It's always hard to come up with something when you're not, when you don't have something that's like super pressing that you need to do right away. I would like to know, what I would like to know? I would like to know information about some different models. Like, particularly, I would like to know information about some local models and how I can leverage these things. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put on Opus 5. And I need to choose a project or folder. So we're going to choose a specific folder. Here, and we're going to go to Document. We're going to go to the Obsidian Vault. I think we'll just do this. And then we're going to allow and manually approve, automatically approve. And then I'm going to add a file. Ooh, they've got a new phone. Ooh, I'm going to want to test that. We're going to have to do that later, guys, where we record us doing something and then turn it into a skill. That's going to be real cool. So we are going to take that spec folder and not folder. We're going to take that spec file. Where is it? Here we go. Spec MD. We're going to get the raw, download raw file. And then, okay, that's done. And then we're going to come here and we're going to say, you are a your task is to help me document whatever I'd like in my knowledge base using the open knowledge format, OKF, that is specified in the spec.md. I wonder if I can, let's reference. So let's do downloads. Let's do spec.md. The spec attached spec md file. Are you ready? Okay. Allow. Okay. Ready, read it. Okay. Let's say this. I'd like to do some research on I'd like to do some research on local AI models that can fit in a MacBook that can run well on a MacBook Pro with 128 gigabyte of memory. Please collect the known models for me, and let's see here. Make sure that they are compatible. Make sure that they can run a good bit, fairly large context model, context window, 256,000 tokens or more. Actually, particularly, I want to understand the different file formats that are out there for downloadable weights. Please document all these things in our knowledge base. All right. So I'm not sure how long that will take to run because I did kind of ask it for a lot of information. But hopefully it'll work pretty well. And we'll be able to see, kind of see the results of this. Maybe I should have given it a much smaller, maybe I should have just asked it to give me research on some local things. Now, the other thing I could have it do is I could have start writing some information on of something that I know that I need documented. So I could like all right, I would go through and approve all these things. Wow, it's getting a lot of good relevant information though. This is really nice. But what the other use case I could see is I write something and then I ask it to format it for me after the fact. So I mean, one of the things I used to do was I used to write a lot of articles, and I could do something like that. Trying to think of other good use cases. Like, I've got a couple of playbooks for like editing information, like editing videos, things like that. Let's keep going and letting this go. Maybe I shouldn't have had to do all the research, because the way it's doing it is it's doing all of its research up front, and now it's like who knows how long this is going to take. Oh boy. I have no idea how long this is going to take. I'm just going to allow for the website. I don't want to have to keep proving it. I'm just going to trust it. It'll be okay. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So let's say I got to keep watching this thing though. You could do recipes. Recipes would be very interesting. Yeah, I would need to like, I really would be kind of interested in like run books or technical documentation, things like that. That's gonna be kind of what I'm looking for. You know, we could. Man, I really don't know how long it's going to take. We're just waiting. If you guys have any questions or comments, drop them there in the chat. Ooh, I have a really good idea. Doing lectures or particularly, you know, like anything where you might need to derive certain strategies and you might need to derive certain strategies and you might need that as knowledge for your agents. That could be very, very handy. Because then also like you could, this is an interesting idea. So you could aggregate information about relevant topics. Like for example, let's say you wanted to train an agent to do like some real estate investing type of activities. And what you could do is aggregate information from, investing groups, or from, if you've got like a trained course or something like that, you could aggregate that information. You could have all the relevant strategies and information written down for you in this little thing. And then as a follow-up step, it doesn't just end there. You could either build an agent that kind of pulls that information on the fly, or you can have an agent that builds another agent that's specialized for those activities, with those strategies and things like that, and then ship that off as maybe a small segment, to maybe even shipping it off and you're preloading a lot of the strategy, a lot of the information and context. That could be really, really powerful. By having this process where you run through these steps of information gathering, then either loading that information into an agent on the fly, or maybe even better, building, setting up an agent to create a very refined agent based on that information that you have. And you could progressively improve them over time, add your evals and things like that. That could work really, really well. I would be very interested in doing something like that. Okay, guys. I wish, man. We didn't really get to, I should have just had this. I should have had this more close-ended. So let's do this. This is going to keep running. I really don't want this to take all night, and I gotta go inside to spend some time with my family before they're done. So let's do this. Let's do a new one. We're gonna do the Obsidian Vault. We're gonna say, I'm attaching your task is to help me document ideas, document information about news, AI news in my Obsidian Vault using the open knowledge format that is specified in the attached spec.md. Let's see here. Let's upload that. Let's go spec. I want you to get the last week's worth of news from, let's be very specific. Let's go to OpenAI News. From OpenAI News, and record the summary, key topics, and key insights in the vault. Okay, so let's do that. Allow. So this should hopefully go a lot faster. This one's still running. Oh, how should it be structured? One concept per article. Let's do these by categorical concepts. Okay, so hopefully this makes it a little easier for it to work through quickly, because it is going to it's probably going to take a while for these other things. Okay. And I'm checking every so often to see if you guys have any comments or questions for me in the chat. I am just gonna keep checking here. What I'd probably like to do, it'd be good if I had a general purpose, like little agent. That just kind of knows, you know, it has like the spec already like preloaded as a skill or something like that, so it kind of knows what to do. Then it would be able to document it really well. I wonder if the agent skills themselves would actually... I have to go back and look at the agent skills to see if the format for agent skills could benefit from something like this. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, we're done. We're done. Let's see what it has to say for itself. We'll go over here. Let's go back to our Obsidian Vault. Here we go. We got our AI news, OpenAI, company and workforce. Okay, looking good. So we got an OpenAI bundle, news bundle, product releases, company workforce, research publications, current coverage window, trailing 7 days, update log, updates to this bundle. Very nice. Product releases. Okay. Launches. Okay, so it's got all these launches. Health in. Okay, so we probably, we'd probably need to give it a little bit more guidance when we're kind of looking through this, because we'd probably want like the concepts here, but then we'd want like separate articles or something like that. So, you have to kind of think about how you want the information structured a little bit more, and you could ask it to get really clever about things. How news organizations use AI, key insights. Yeah, because it's just kind of grouping up all the articles into these categories. So, we needed a little bit more information, but it did do a generally good job about creating all of this stuff. If we went to like the open graph view, we'd see like all the connections here between this different stuff. But yeah, like for example, like each of these articles probably should be like its own concept and have its own release. Its own resource up here. Things like that with key insights per article. Yeah, okay. But I'm glad it did put it into a good format, collected information. So I would say pretty helpful overall. Related. Okay. Cool. So yeah, good step forward. Very practical. I could definitely see this being useful. You just got to be a little bit more, need to be a little bit more thoughtful about the instructions, I think, on how the categorization and organization should be done. But it's good to know that this did work. And maybe see about adding different ways to implement this going forward, as far as how you organize it in your processes, how you use it to organize information, things like that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to have to call it here because it is kind of late. So thank you guys for coming. It's been really good to be here, go over the news with you guys, and then experiment with this tool. I got to learn some new things, got to challenge something, try some ideas. So if you like this, let me know in the chat, and I'd love to hear more feedback from you guys. Before you go, I just want to let you know that if you do want to get like updates as to when we're doing these Q&As, I typically do them every week on Tuesday evenings. At least I have for a while now. But there are occasions where maybe I have to cancel or I have to move the date or something like that. And if you want to get those, let me get the link here for you guys to be able to get those. You can follow social media, and I'll try to post an update within 24 hours of when we're doing it. But if you also want to get like an email notification, then you can get that at the link that I'm posting there on YouTube on Facebook and on Rumble. So you can scan the QR code here, or you can click the link there. And in any case, you will get those email reminders. Typically within the 24 hours, you'll get a first one, and then you'll get another one about 10 minutes beforehand. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for this evening. Thanks again for coming. Hopefully this was enjoyable for you. Hopefully it was insightful for you. As always, hope you have a good evening, and take it easy. Bye-bye.